Brandon, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. All right, welcome to player availability this afternoon. We have senior center Brandon Kennedy. Raise your hand, hit the raise your hand function, and we'll call on you. We'll start with Rick Russo, and then we'll go to David Ubben.
Hey, Brandon, good afternoon. Let's get right to Alabama. Talk about that defense, which is, they've given up some points, they've given up some yards, but they've been able to adjust, especially in the second half last week against Georgia. What do you see in this Bama defense this week?
Yeah, the one thing I see is that they're technically sound. They have good fundamentals. And one thing about it up front, they're physical. I think their linebacker, I think Dylan Moses, he's a great player, athletics, can play from sideline to sideline. And also Christian Harris, they're kind of like almost twins in the way they play. I think they're pretty good. And also the secondary on the back end, I think they're good as well.
David?
Brandon, how would you describe the offensive line's performance the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, I'd have to say it's been a roller coaster. It's kind of been up and down. But the thing we're trying to focus on this week is we're trying to figure out, what do we need to do to be successful and kind of help this team and just kind of focus on our job and what we can do.
All right, Jimmy Himes, then Teresa Walker.
Brandon, what's the challenge of bouncing back when you don't have a very good game against Kentucky?
I think the biggest challenge of bouncing back is kind of, everybody being around each other and rallying around each other and coming together because, it's all about us in the end. That's all we have. And we got to stick together and come back so we can be able to be successful come next game.
And where along the offensive line do you think you guys need to improve?
To be honest, I think we all can improve. We all done some things well in the game and we didn't do some things well. And, that's kind of the difference in between winning and losing. We all need to be on the same page and kind of play better in order to help this team.
Brandon, with that, playing Alabama, an opponent that gets your attention, that requires everyone to be working to make those corrections, or risk of another issue like what you had on Saturday, sorry, to avoid an ugly situation on the field.
Yeah, I think the main thing we did when we came in Sunday is we had to take the game for what it is. That's the number one thing we did. Okay, we had to see what mistakes we made and see the things we could have done better, and also evaluate the things that we done well. Because in the game there were some things that we did well, and then the things that we didn't do well, they were critical errors. So that's kind of what caused us to lose the game.
David Pascal, then Blake Topmeyer.
Hey, Brandon, is playing Alabama still weird for you? And what was the weirdest part about playing Alabama for the first time?
To be honest, it's not as weird. We played them last year, and I'm so far removed now in the 3 years that I've been here that it's almost normal when I go to prepare to play them.
And then what's it like? I mean, a lot of people think based on last week, Alabama's supposed to annihilate you guys. They're like 3 touchdown favorites. Is that a different mindset for you guys this week about, knowing that you're going up against a team that's heavily favored?
No, not really. Any team can be beat each weekend in the SEC, as you can see kind of around what happened in the different games. But, when we come in each week, we just focus on every opponent just like we do everybody else. We don't kind of put too much on one or too much on the other. So that's kind of thing we're focusing on this week.
Thank you.
Brandon, what did you learn from Nick Saban?
Well, I think the one thing I learned about Nick Saban is, fundamentals and doing things the right way. I think that's one of the things he preached there. And, that's also the kind of thing that we have incorporated into here. I think Coach Pruitt has done a good job in doing that as well. So that's the kind of thing that I learned from Nick Saban.
All right, Vince Ferrara, then Gustavo.
Brandon, how much of some of the breakdowns on the offensive line is communication? And if it is a decent part of what's happened, why do you think that is, considering how experienced that group is up front?
Yeah, so with us, at times communication was kind of a deal, and also sometimes it was just technique and other areas like that. But the biggest thing with me and the leadership that I bring to the table is I watch film and we all critique ourselves, and I try to help the guys come along and also myself as well.
Brandon, how much responsibility you guys in O-line have to protect your quarterback, especially now that JT, is facing a lot of criticism due to the game? How much you guys at the offensive line, talk about this lack of, success in the quarterback?
Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing for us. That's our job to protect the quarterback and, get runs for the running back. So, yeah, that's a big part of us, and that's kind of a thing that we're focusing on this week to try to improve on as well.
Back to Jimmy Himes.
Brandon, Coach Pruitt has kind of questioned the effort level a little bit, in particular the offense after turnovers. Do you think the effort level is where it needs to be?
Yes, I think the effort level is where it needs to be. I feel like at times, it kind of died down, but this week I took it upon myself and the other leaders of the team to make sure at practice throughout every day that we have the right energy level, make sure we're finishing on blocks and things like that. And, everybody around the team just making sure we have the right effort and the right attitude going into this week.
Patrick Brown, then back to Vince.
Brandon, you guys haven't scored in the second half of the last two games. How frustrating is that as an offense, and what do you guys need to do to perform better and get some points on the board in the second half of games?
Yeah, it is frustrating, but as an offense, that's what we need to do. We need to score points. So I think the biggest thing that we did, this weekend on Sunday when we evaluated the film and throughout the other games we had is kind of see what we can do better, what we may need to change or kind of implement to be able to help us score points and help this team win.
Brandon, 4 games in, when you see one of the assistant coaches on the team get let go, does that send any sort of message to the team at all?
Not to me personally. I think, upstairs they handle what they have to handle, and I think me as a leader on the team, I kind of handle everything that needs to be handled within the players. So I can't focus on it, so I have to focus on what I can control.
Trey Wallace, then back to Jimmy.
Brandon, what has been your words to the quarterbacks, Garantano, Maurer, Shrout, Harrison, Bailey, about trying to be better and get better in practice where you guys can succeed on Saturdays? And kind of a follow-up to that, do you trust everybody behind Garantano to be able to lead you to victory?
Well, yes, the biggest thing that I've taken upon myself to do is just provide a lot of uplift to the quarterbacks. We all trust and believe in every one of them, and we love them, and I've kind of let them know that throughout this whole process and throughout all the games. And I believe in everybody they put behind me, I believe that they can do well. And, I take upon myself that they want to watch film with me, or if they have any questions about how we do things, whether it be protection, run game, anything like that, I'm here to help.
Jimmy.
Brandon, the team did not get off to a very good start last year, and you rebounded and had a strong finish. I'm sure you're not where you want to be at this point. How confident are you that you guys can get this thing turned around this year?
I'm very confident. In life and also in sport, you always face adversity, but I think the biggest thing is, how will we bounce back and how will we approach this next game and the rest of the games following throughout the season.
All right, last question to Vince.
Brendan, how much have you watched and paid attention to those Sunday scrimmages for the young players that miss some time and they're trying to get caught up? And if so, who has kind of impressed you and stood out in those settings?
Yeah, so I have watched the scrimmages, but, throughout the offensive line, I think, guys like Kingston Harris and guys like that, I think they've done a good job at kind of coming along and, doing better throughout the scrimmages, getting more opportunities.
Anything else for Brandon? Good. All right, thank you.